Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, you're right now calling it to me, Ring Allen, and today I want to talk about NXT TakeOver New Orleans, because what an amazing event. And if you have been following on social media, seeing the reaction from fans, then a lot of people are saying that this is the greatest NXT TakeOver ever, and I won't disagree. I just think that right now I don't off the top of my mind can really think of a better show right now, but I know that I really love, for example, the Wrestlemania weekend show from 2 years ago, when Nakamura debuted and American Alpha won the titles. This show had 3 of the greatest matches I've seen in pro wrestling, and it had my favorite NXT match ever, and it had so much awesomeness. I'm right now in the background playing my favorite NXT match ever, which is the ladder match from yesterday. And let's just start there, because that was the opening match, and what a way to open the show. Of course it was a bad decision to open with it, because nothing could follow it. It was 45 minutes of awesomeness from start to finish, with so much epic storytelling, so much being built for the future, so much happening, and so many small stories that out of nowhere were really built on. You had some great dialogue, you had some amazing spots, you had moments there that will live on forever, you had a showcase of every single talent, you had 2 brand new faces for the casual viewer, but for us hardcore fans that was so epic to see them in this setting, and to see EC3 and Ricochet really get to showcase themselves in such an awesome way. They gave it all. They had, the match was over 30 minutes long, and they were so, beaten and just destroyed afterwards. So the fact that, you have a brand new championship, and it's so important for all these superstars to reach it, get to that title, I just think that really established and really made that championship stand out as the most important championship in NXT, because they were giving it all. Every single wrestler in that match shined, every single wrestler got to showcase themselves, and everyone had the crowd behind them. You had, of course, 3 main faces here, but you have a very hardcore crowd, which are for everyone. But Velveteen, Dream, Ricochet, such fantastic faces, such amazing characters, and I just can't wait to see what Ricochet will bring now with Adam Cole. Amazing ending, and that's a team for the whole night. Amazing endings to the matches, so smart booking, so well told stories with the match endings, and yeah, I can't believe that ladder match. I have watched that ladder match now 2 times since TakeOver, because it was just that good, and it's a long match, but it's so enjoyable. And Mauro Ranallo is doing an amazing job on commentary, because he's able to fill in those short seconds where nothing is happening with some facts, like for example, Kane has won a Money in the Bank ladder match before, and you see these large men, they have the ability, but look, EC3 is coming, and oh my god, like, you have something so crazy happening, and he was able to really always make you interested in the match. And when everything clicks like this, it's so perfect. There are small things that went wrong, but I still think it was a perfectionist match, because things happen, you can't control that all the time. So I don't think that actually is anything to worry about. It actually makes it almost seem more legit, although it's just wild and crazy. Then we had the women's championship match, one of the better told stories of the night. Every single match was telling a great story, but I think that this match right here had a great outcome, because you are able to make the new champion look really strong, but Ember Moon doesn't look weak, and that's a very smart thing. It's kind of like a little bit of a cheap escape, but it still builds up the brutality, it builds up your new champion, it builds up the match. It was a short match, but it was, something that just had to, something had to follow the ladder match, and unfortunately it was this match, but you couldn't follow it with anything else really, because of the card structure, and because Adam Cole won in the first match and had to wrestle also in the third match, and that's, something you can't just have him come right afterwards and do that. You have to build up the anticipation for, is he actually going to be able to be in this match? And he was. The tag team match that came on later on was, it wasn't that good, but that was just because of it having to follow the ladder match. It would have been a great opening match, but because you had to include Adam Cole in the match, because of Bobby Fish being injured, you were kind of left with a bit of a, okay, it's here, it's kind of like a breather instead of this very exciting thing. But the ending with Roderick Strong turning on Pete Dunne, joining the Undisputed Era, it's so wild, it's so good storytelling, and just that the feeling of you think that now they finally have it, they finally got new champions and all that, and no, Roderick Strong turns on Pete Dunne. So brilliant. Pete Dunne is an amazing wrestler, so is Roderick Strong, but Roderick Strong has been lacking something because he hasn't really been an interesting persona, but now he is. He really needs to just team up, you know, with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era, because I think this will really help him, because he needs something to hold on to. He needs something you can actually put, you know, you need to be able to relate Roderick Strong to something, and now you relate him to being a giant asshole, which is really smart, so really good. And just so you know, Adam Cole is my favorite wrestler in NXT, so it's not like I'm against him, but it's like you put him up with, you know, with one of the more heelish heels, and I think that was really smart. Speaking of smart, the fact it didn't end with the NXT title match was really good. Fantastic match, fantastic match. You had the NXT Championship match, and it was so electric, so amazing, so fun, and you were able to have, you know, Almas and Aleister Black go out there and really just captivate the audience, telling such a brilliant story, so many near falls, so much excitement, and it really didn't devalue the championship that it didn't go on last. You don't have to go on last, because they gave everything they had in that match, and it was so good. And I know a lot of people were expecting this to happen, but I didn't. I did not expect Aleister Black to actually win this, and he did, and I'm a huge fan of Aleister Black. So I was like freaking out, because I think that was so awesome. And after everything he went through, after all the heelish tactics from Almas, to actually have this amazing feel-good moment in the end, I was just brilliant. And speaking of feel-good moments, the final match, Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano. It's impossible for anything at WrestleMania to come close to this. It's impossible. You have built up this match for many years, and it happened, and it was so shocking, so brutal, so smart, so many near falls, and I bit on the bait every single time almost. I was constantly on the edge of my seat. I was jumping around, I was scared, I was freaking out. I thought it was over, it wasn't over. They did insane spots that would have killed a normal man, but they were fighting so hard because they hated each other. They both took some extreme bumps, you know, on the concrete. You had Ciampa just hitting his head so hard there. You had a fantastic ending with the knee braces. So much poetic justice happened in this match, so much perfection, and a fantastic ending with Johnny Gargano actually making it, which really just established NXT, because a lot of people, including myself, was expecting Gargano to go up to the main roster. That was what I was expecting, but he was fighting so hard because he wanted to be in NXT, and I think that just proves that NXT is the place to be. WWE has no chance with their main roster to be able to even come close to what happened at TakeOver, and this is one of the best WrestleMania cards I've seen. I'm very excited for WrestleMania, but it's impossible to have them in the same league, because you can't. The show yesterday from NXT TakeOver was, in my opinion, much better than, for example, Wrestle Kingdom this year, and that had some of the matches that, a lot of those matches many say are some of their favorite matches. A lot of people are praising that show so much, and I included. I think this is a fantastic show, but the hours we had with NXT TakeOver was such wild and enjoyable and crazy and fantastic ride. A ride straight to the top. Because this just proved that NXT is the place to be. NXT is the best roster. NXT has the best matches, the best stories, and it was so cool. And to have a show where a lot of people do not watch the weekly television show. They don't watch what goes on NXT, but everyone who are a huge wrestling fan are interested in TakeOver. Even if you don't like WWE, you're interested in TakeOver. You check out some of the matches because you know this is quality. This is the best wrestling in the world. And it's so crazy. And I was almost thinking this week that, okay, maybe I should watch Ring of Honor instead of NXT TakeOver, but I was so invested in the ladder match and the main event with Ciampa and Gargano, and also I'm a huge fan of Almas and Aleister Black, so I was like, I had to see it, and I think that I haven't watched Ring of Honor yet, but if they are able to be half as good, then wow, that's one of the best Ring of Honor shows then, if they are half as good as this, because this right here, on point, amazing. And all the matches delivered. It was just that the card structure was a bit weird, because you had the match of the decade, the match of the best match in history of wrestling, you had that as the opener. So it was kind of like, oh, how do you follow that? Well, you follow it with crazy twists, crazy new title changes, and you had so much awesomeness going on, and it was so cool to see. And it was such a enjoyable and fun ride, and it really just made me so more excited for WrestleMania and also the future of WWE, because this right here is incredible. As an NXT fan, I was a huge fan of NXT when it was, you know, a reality show. You had NXT Redemption, and you had Johnny Curtis and Derek Bateman, and you had Kurt Hawkins and everyone, and I was a huge fan of the reality type show, you know, with the Heath Slater and all those guys. But the fact that it's gone from that, which was, you know, an afterthought, soap opera television, to this, the greatest wrestling on earth. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to see how it's evolved, and I don't think anyone could imagine that when you saw how NXT Season 1 went, for example. But NXT has brought us so much, from the Nexus to the takeovers. So yeah, that was amazing. So it might be my favorite takeover, but I just don't know. My favorite NXT match before that ladder match was Sasha Banks versus Bayley from Brooklyn, and I was thinking that you can't top that. It's such a good story, but here you have, you know, the ladder match with so many stories told all the time. You change up these stories all the time, and you have such a interesting dynamic where you have constantly new things happening, and things you could never even imagine happened. And that's just why I love wrestling, because of shows like NXT TakeOver, because what happened yesterday was a roller coaster of emotions in the best possible way. That was awesome.